I will talk about advancing trawl-based approaches for more accurate estimation of Northeast Atlantic mackerel spawning stock biomass. The question I'm asking is to go from a relative swept area index towards a calibrated absolute trawl biomass index. I will say some words about the background first. This is the assessment of the mackerel from 2025, and it produced a major retrospective revision of the stock biomass. In this graph, the blue bars are the estimates of stock biomass in the different years. The red bars are the updated estimates from autumn 2025. And for instance, the estimate of 2014 is up about 280% compared to the original value. If we look at 2012, it's up about 400%. So today, the stock is regarded 4 times higher that year than it was in 2012. So that indicates that there was a substantial uncertainty in the former stock assessments. Then we know that the stock must have been much larger than we thought at that time. And this led to an unheard of geographic distribution. For those of you, and that must be all, familiar with the distribution of the mackerel, it's spread throughout the Northeast Atlantic. This is maybe the largest extent in 2014, and we can see there was mackerel to the southern point of Greenland. They fished mackerel in Longyearbyen in Spitsbergen into the Barents Sea. So this was a totally exceptional situation. This new assessment, that gives a new perception of the prior overfishing claims. So what you see today with the new assessment is that we had a period with underfishing from about 2009 to 2022. And then we've had a short period of overfishing since about 2022. So it changes the entire perception of overfishing during this period. So this overly large stock had substantial ecological effects, in my view. Several seabird populations competing with mackerel are and has been collapsing, like puffin, kittiwake, while species feeding on mackerel have had a strong population growth, for instance, gannets. And that growth lasted until this avian flu epidemics came around 2022. We've had mackerel and juvenile mackerel in the Barents Sea since 2013. This has most probably, and in my view, definitely impacted the recruitment of Northeast Atlantic cod. We've seen declines in the wild Atlantic salmon stocks, and also, in my view, that may partly reflect competition with and predation by mackerel. And mackerel is predating on post-smolts. I've interviewed fishermen that have observed this. One other hypothesis is that mackerel may have displaced the Norwegian spring-spawning herring northwards. It's been shown that mackerel can eat down the entire amount of juvenile herring in an area within 2 to 3 weeks, and that may have simply eaten out the southern recruitment of Norwegian spring-spawning herring from the Møre coast spawning. And in that way, we've had this displacement northwards of the entire stock, plus. And this overly large stock also negatively inflicts itself. You have a strong interspecific competitions, reducing growth and condition, as we can see in this lower graph at the end here. You see the length at age at the end is going very much down. And in the same period, in the upper chart, we see how the recruitment goes strongly down. So in my view, these two happenings are closely related. Today we are seeing the opposite trend. The stock has come down quite a bit, and the condition and growth has come down back. We are seeing this so-called G6, the big mackerel again in the stock, and I'm expecting the recruitment to increase. And according to the fishermen, and that may have started happening already. There are 3 independent data series used to measure the stock. That's an egg survey, that's an indirect method. There are tagging experiments, another indirect estimation, and the trawl survey, which is a direct estimation of the stock via trawl catches. And then we have samples and recruitment index in addition. So what I'm in a way proposing is to focus on this trawl survey. And that is the most direct way of measuring the stock. And it is an existing and well set up trawl survey. The swept area estimate index comes out of it, and it's ongoing. But there is a main limitation, and that is the catchability in each trawl hole. Catchability, that is in a way the link between an index and an absolute biomass measurement. So if you catch, for instance, 100 kilos in your trawl hole, and through experimental work you find out that, well, we only catch 20% of what is in that area. That means that you have to correct the amount in your catch up to 100%. So that means you have to multiply your 100 kilos by 5 to get the corrected amount, which is 500 kilos. So if you knew that this 500 kilos was the correct number, then you would have a totally precise absolute estimate of the stock. But you will never come there. But in my view, you can come much closer to the true stock size this way. So why don't we catch 500 kilos? Some fish may be under the depth you are trawling. Some will be scared by the doors, the trawl in itself, and the vessel. Some mackerel will swim in front of the trawl and escape. Another thing we know is that curved holes are used today, and it's been shown that these curved holes, they lose a lot of fish. So if you have a straight haul, which is the normal way of trawling, you catch 53% more. So already here we know that we are losing a lot of fish. So here I have a suggestion of how experiments like this can work out. I will not go through all of that because of time, but this can be done through experiments to try to estimate the efficient Q per trawl haul. This is a leave out one sensitivity analysis from the last assessment. You have the different data series and you take out one. And what we see at the end there is whatever data series we take out, we get about the same stock size. And then food for thought for afterwards. What would the trawl biomass index be if we knew this Q, the catchability, let's say it was 0.5, 0.3, or 0.2. So where would we end up to the right in terms of stock biomass if we really knew either precise or within certain limits how well we catch the mackerel in the area? So what I'm proposing is that we work on estimating haul-specific catchability and add that to the assessment as an absolute series, but of course with uncertainty. And the last thing I will say is that maybe we should look at taking away one of, do we really need 3 data series? Maybe we should take away one of the indirect series, the tagging or the egg survey. I'm not going into that discussion, but I'm posing the question. Thank you.